942, Godfather of Soul, Soul Brother number one. He was the man on the big 125 at the Apollo Theater when he was strutting his stuff, James Brown, and it's the perfect entry song for Johnny Alite to once again reappear here on the drive home at 5. For those of you who don't know, he's the former mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. There's been a break between him and John Gotti Jr., but he's got a brand new book out called John Alite, Darkest Hour. Thanks for jumping on board again, Johnny.
Thank you, Curtis, for having me back again. I appreciate it.
Now, many times when I'm out and about, I'll run across people who are very supportive of John Gotti Jr., and they'll say, Johnny Alite, he's pimped off for this so-called friendship. He was a person of no consequence. And then I say to them, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Gotti Jr. was your best man at your wedding in Queens. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, you're correct. That's true.
So how does a person of no consequence that he wouldn't even park his cars at Valet Parker there at Russo's on the Bay on Cross Bay Boulevard, how is it that all of a sudden he was your best man?
Well, the guy's obviously, I mean, you know the guy. The guy's a brat that talks out of the side of his mouth. But now that he was chased out of the mafia, he was shelved. He goes behind a typewriter and he talks nonsense. And, you know, just what you said, gibberish. You know, he didn't have the guts to go after you personally. He tried to send guys. You know, with me out here personally, I live in the neighborhood still. Nobody comes to see me. Matter of fact, I heard half his family. So, you know, the stuff that people talk is without knowledge. You got a guy like John Gotti Jr. who's out in the street, and in his own rat papers, when they found out he was an informant, said that he was going to open up the Bronx House of Detention. It's in his paperwork. That's not out of my mouth. That's out of him hoping to make people suffer in jail and die in jail the way his father did. So he just talks, and he's a coward. We know what he is. You know what he is.
All right, but John Alite, you know him better than most. There was recently an article in a magazine that said he's had an epiphany, meaning John Gotti Jr., out at his Ponderosa and Oyster Bay Cove, that he's now dedicating his life to being a crime fighter.
Behind and killed him was solved the murder of Robin Fatula that his uncle raped and put in a garbage can. Since he wants to be a crime fighter, start there. Start at home. And then we'll believe that he's a crime fighter. And this nonsense this guy's spewing out. And this guy got chased out of the mob, so I guess he's scared of the guys, and he's scared to, pop out in public. The last time he did, he got stabbed up at CVS. So that's his life now. His life is in hiding and writing and typing behind a computer. So, you know, this is what he's resorted to. It's nonsense.
Now, one of the things I see is that you did some time in a Brazilian jail. I see they've moved the military into Rio de Janeiro. The crime is so bad there. How bad was bad in that jail for you?
I mean, the circumstances in Brazilian jails are in reports from senators from their country to our country to around the world. Those situations there, those jails are different living conditions. Weapons inside the jail are rampant. You go to the bathroom and the floor, and you're involved in violent behavior here. 1 or 2 murders in jail here is a lot there. You get dozens that die in a prison system there. So a year. So people that are involved with the system and advocates understand that they never let an advocate group in the prison I was in, ever, not once, back when I was there. At the time, they were never allowed in the jail. That's how bad it was. So those are facts that have to be looked up and confirmed.
Now, you claim that you've seen a different light, you're following a different path. People know that you've murdered before, you've extorted money. You were a prime-time gangster. You had earned your stripes in the Gambino crime family, working side by side with John Gotti Jr. Why should people believe you now, John Alite, that you've turned that corner?
Well, you know, first off, I didn't work side by side with John Gotti Jr. He stayed at home while I did all those things you just said. He hid while I did the work. This is not a guy that goes out and is aggressive himself. He's a coward. He stays at home and let guys like me do it. So my message is simple. I lived a bad life. I don't say I didn't do bad things and lived by bad rules. I'm out here now trying to advocate for kids not to follow those footsteps. Don't let a guy like John Gotti Jr. sit at home and give you orders when he's a coward sitting at home. That same guy that was giving those orders, look what he's saying now. Now he's a crime fighter because his daddy's gone. So, everybody knows what kind of guy he is. The street guys know what he is. And I want the kids to understand that these guys live by that code of nothing. They're cowards that allow stay at home while they make guys like me do it. So, really my message is to make sure kids don't live the way I live. And I'm hoping I can save one or two kids at the same time. And that's what the book Darkest Hours about. Susan Pike did a great job, I think, showing, when you grow up in the environment that I grew up and other kids are growing up, you think that's your only chance at life, and you're mistaken. There's so many other ways out of the gutter, out of that environment, and take a positive path. And really, that's my message: a positive path to these kids, and don't follow this nonsense about guys like Gotti, because you know better than most. This guy just has a big mouth, and that's about it. And he's got a typewriter these days. He doesn't use bullets. He never used them then. He had guys to use them.
Understood. That's Johnny Alite. His book, as he mentioned, The Darkest Hour. You can pre-order now at Amazon.com. It's out and about. And, the interesting thing is Johnny Alite has said as an Albanian bad boy, he's turned the corner. The proof will obviously be in what he does. But I had a real good belly laugh. This men's magazine had a full spread on John Gotti Jr. at his Ponderosa, his palazzo there in Oyster Bay Cove. He claims he lives a life in poverty. He's probably digging up the Medaglia d'Oro cans with all the ill-gotten gain he got over the years, and that's how he survives and feeds his family. But now he claims that he's a crime fighter. Who's more believable, John Gotti Jr. as a crime fighter? Or Johnny Alite as a guy who's turned the corner from being an Albanian bad boy? I'll leave it to you guys to figure it out.